Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Thank you for taking time out of your day to check the video out. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover here today. So do me a favor before we dive into these topics. If you end up enjoying the video or finding it informative, be sure to leave it a like. And if you are new here, consider hitting that subscribe button as well. We're starting here with an update on the recent reports regarding PlayStation 3 backwards compatibility on PS5. This is coming from PlayStation Lifestyle. Another known insider has corroborated the rumor that Sony is looking into PS3 emulation to expand its classics lineup available on the PS5 and PS4. Yesterday, we shared a report that Sony is attempting to bring select PS3 games to modern consoles natively, and today's report claims that official PS3 emulation has been in the works for quite some time. Today's report comes from none other than journalist and insider Jeff Grubb, who mentioned in the latest episode of Game Mess Morning's podcast that he was personally expecting some news on the PS3 emulation front earlier this year, which is when he first heard about it. It's something that I've heard has been in the works for quite some time, Grubb said. I thought it was going to get revealed earlier this year when I first heard about it. That clearly didn't happen, but that doesn't mean it will never happen. Maybe it does. After years of requests, Sony recently started making PS2 Classics available on modern consoles via PS Plus Premium's lineup, as well as standalone PlayStation Store releases. Here's hoping that PS3 games follow suit. Now, it's worth mentioning here for those who are unaware that before we heard from Jeff Grubb, we heard from Special Nick over on the Xbox Era podcast, where he was told recently that Sony is going to be announcing at some point PlayStation 3 backwards compatibility for select titles, similar to what we're seeing now with PlayStation 2. Now, we did cover this in a dedicated stream, and it's worth noting that prior to the recent reports, we've gotten multiple rumors and reports from credible insiders over the past 2 to 3 years claiming something similar, but now we're hearing about it once again. So obviously, you have to take this with a grain of salt. If you're somebody who has been hoping that Sony would do something like this for a while, I don't want you to necessarily get your hopes up, but it is something that we might want to pay at least a little bit of attention to, because if you think about it, we see that Sony is bringing PS2 Classics over. They've done it with PS1. They've done it with PSP. PS3 is really the only one that's missing, and we know that the only way you can really engage with PlayStation 3 games on the PS5 and the PS4 is through cloud streaming, which a lot of people do not like. Sony is at some point going to have to do something about those custom PlayStation 3 server blades that they have, that they use for cloud streaming. Eventually, there's going to have to be an alternative solution, so it would make sense that Sony has been working on this for quite some time, but we'll see if it ends up coming true or not. But we have another report here talking about PlayStation 2 Classics, again from PlayStation Lifestyle. PS2's Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus has instantly become PS Plus Premium's most popular classic game thus far. Launched as part of the June 2024 lineup, Sucker Punch Productions' 2002 outing has surpassed the previous record holder, The Legend of Dragoon, according to data obtained by True Trophies. In partnership with data tracker Game Insights, True Trophies analyzed gameplay data from over 3.1 million active PSN accounts to find that Sly Cooper beat The Legend of Dragoon with a 2.5% higher player count at launch. Taking into account both PS Plus Extra and PS Plus Premium overall lineups, not just classics, Sly Cooper is now the 8th biggest PS Plus game of 2024 thus far, not counting the essential games. So I wanted to let you guys know about this because Sony does seem to be trying to, I guess, put more emphasis on their PS2 Classic lineup, and a lot of people were very excited to see a game like Sly Cooper coming out, and they are showing pretty good support just based on this data alone. This is maybe a good sign, potentially. Again, don't want to get anybody's hopes up too much, but a good sign that at the very least, Sony will continue to, support these PlayStation 2 Classics and try to bring more impactful games with their lineups going forward. But also maybe just some slight hope that we're sending a message to Sony that, hey, we would like to see you do more with Sly Cooper we'll see if anything happens there, but I just wanted to relay this information to you guys. We're going to move on to the next topic, which talks about Astro Bot. This is a report coming from Push Square. It says Astro Bot, the full-fledged mascot platformer outing from Sony first-party developer Team Asobi, took around 60 developers around 3 years to create. That's according to GamesIndustry.biz's Christopher Dring, who said on the GI Microcast, "I've played it, it's amazing. It took about 3 years to make and 60 people made it. I think it fits in with, I think it's going to be an interesting little project, that one." Reportedly, the biggest game Team Asobi ever made, with over 150 cameos from PlayStation's long legacy of colorful characters, more than 80 levels, and 15 new abilities. It sounds like a hearty offering, which will undoubtedly be embraced by the PlayStation faithful. So, I wanted to mention this to you guys because we've been covering Astro Bot and we will continue to do so, but this is something that I believe has gone a little bit under the radar, where we have been focusing so much on the fact that many of PlayStation Studios teams are massive, with hundreds of developers, and they're working on games that take anywhere between 5 to 7 years in some cases, and the budgets are through the roof. And obviously that's going to continue with many of these studios, which isn't a bad thing, but it does make people wonder if we're going to see some kind of smaller scale experiences, more mid-size experiences from PlayStation Studios. And a game like Astro Bot is exactly that. It's Team Asobi proving that you don't have to spend 5 to 6 years developing a massive title, right? Like a big tentpole title. You can, with just 60 developers, make a very high quality game in almost half that time, in about 3 years. And it's nice to see, right? I think that this is something Sony will have to utilize and maybe get a little bit more comfortable with going forward. And from what I can tell, PlayStation players are absolutely on board with this, because I've seen a lot of excitement for Astro Bot. So I think it's a good sign. I just wanted to, again, relay this information to those of you who maybe didn't know. Moving on to the next topic, we have an update for PlayStation Stars, apparently. Being reported by PlayStation Lifestyle, it looks like PlayStation Stars points are still being awarded to members for their purchases during the ongoing outage. Players have found a way to check their points history despite the loyalty program being unavailable, and have noticed that their recent purchases have all been accounted for, much to their relief. A few days ago, a Reddit user shared a way to check PlayStation Stars points by using a back-end link while logged into the PlayStation Store. Those who did go through the step found that they were awarded points for their purchases made during the downtime. Earlier today, another Reddit user shared a more straightforward but slightly long-winded way to check your points history, which requires the use of the PlayStation app. By going to your profile and selecting Privacy, players can request access to their data via Access Your Personal Information option. Sony then sends out an email with a URL that displays PS Stars points history. The email might take a few hours to generate. Both methods work, and members who have used them have confirmed that points are being awarded, something that PlayStation's own support agents were not too sure of. Now, I wanted to let you guys know about this because, well, first off, there seems to be a major problem with the PlayStation Stars member program, where it's just been out for weeks now, and Sony has not acknowledged this officially as far as I'm aware, and they seem to be relatively silent on the matter. And PlayStation players who do care about this have been trying to figure out, like, what's going on. Is the program shutting down? If it's not shutting down, are we still getting our points for purchases? And it's nice that some Reddit users have been able to, at the very least, confirm, assuming the program isn't going to get shut down. I don't think it is, that whenever it's fixed and back up and running, you are, in this moment in time, still getting points for your purchases. So I wanted to let you guys know about this, because I have seen a couple of you kind of mention the fact that the PlayStation Stars program is just completely down, and it has been for quite some time. So there you go. Moving on to the next topic, we have a short topic regarding Insomniac Games being reported by Gaming Bolt. It says here, Insomniac Games has had several hits for much of its existence, especially Marvel's Spider-Man series, with over 50 million sales as of February 2024. However, while the developer has revisited other franchises like Ratchet and Clank, some may wonder if the underrated Sunset Overdrive will ever get its chance to shine. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen anytime soon because Insomniac was tweeting about Sunset Overdrive, specifically the respawn animations, to kind of celebrate its 30th anniversary. And somebody asked if they're going to do anything with it, why they haven't ported this game over to PS4, PS5. Insomniac actually responded to this individual saying, "We're busy with Marvel's Wolverine." And last month, Insomniac stated that they would reveal new details on Wolverine when the time is right. So it's a very small update, but something that I feel like is worth mentioning because Insomniac did acknowledge the question directly, like, hey, are we going to hear anything about Sunset Overdrive? The answer is no. We're too busy working on Wolverine, and I'm sure they have, other projects in the works, as we saw with the ransomware attack. But there you go. I figured I would just kind of give you guys this brief update with Insomniac. But moving on to the final topic of the video, we have an update for Stellar Blade. Being reported by PlayStation Lifestyle, ShiftUp shared Stellar Blade's roadmap during a press conference ahead of an IPO, revealing plans for a photo mode and further updates. The presentation reveals a tentative release window for the photo mode, new character skins and outfits, and an IP collaboration for paid DLC. A photo mode, which is currently under review, is scheduled for August. Following a month-long break, ShiftUp plans to release another character skin for Eve in October. The outfit is also under review, but is likely to be free in line with ShiftUp's current strategy for add-ons. Stellar Blade is expected to release a collaboration with an unannounced IP in December. ShiftUp has previously said that any IP collaborations will be paid DLC. There is some speculation that we might get a near crossover following the Nikki collaboration, but ShiftUp hasn't hinted at anything yet. It's also worth noting that we're hearing Stellar Blade did sell over 1 million copies, which for a studio like ShiftUp and the fact that this is their first time putting out a AAA console game, that is pretty good. I'm sure they're actually very pleased with those sales numbers. But there you go. That is the current Stellar Blade roadmap for those of you who were wondering. But guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. If you did, be sure to leave it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.